Hey! So I've crafted some elementals or golems in the past. This time we're gonna craft something a bit different. I started by tearing off small pieces of XPS foam. These are gonna be like small rocks, the ones that this miniature is gonna be crafted out of. We're gonna start by crafting a simple and quick stone base. I made a circle and filled it with hot glue. Then just applied lots of stones in it. You have to be pretty quick when working with hot glue. It hardens quite quickly. I glued in a few additional stones. And there we go. Pretty simple. The base seems to be quite sturdy. I just cut off some extra glue before moving to the next step. I'm gonna make the legs now. I just took a suitable piece of foam and started shaping it by ripping off material with my deadly claws. Instead of using your fingers, you could also just use a knife and rip off some material to create a rocky texture. And here is the other leg. I tried to shape these lower legs in such a way that it would be easier to attach the upper legs. You can also use aluminum foil to add texture. Then I just glued the lower legs on. I tried to not place them straight, so that the miniature might have some kind of a pose when it's done. By gluing in some smaller pieces in the cracks, the attachment gets stronger. I was not happy with the size of the base, so I made it bigger. I applied glue around the base and attached more stones. Now that the base is done, let's move upwards. I shaped the upper legs and then attached them with a slight angle, so that it would look like the miniature has knees. Now it's time for the torso. I just took a bigger piece of foam and used the same texturing technique as before. We're gonna cover this piece with crystals later, so it doesn't really matter what it looks like. I checked if it fits, yep, and glued it on. Don't worry about the messy glue, you can always take it away. Again, I glued in some smaller pieces to strengthen the bond. This is how I made the arms from 2 pieces. Soon I will be attaching fingers to create a stony hand. These are the small foam pieces I will be using for the fingers. Creating a hand like this is much easier with a hot glue gun, compared to using PVA glue that I usually use. And as expected, some more glue. The crucial thing for this miniature is to create a goofy looking head. I carved the eyes and mouth and then attached it to the torso. In order to create suitable pieces for the crystals, I cut off corners from a piece of XPS foam. As you can see, I adjusted the attachment angle of some pieces. This is the fun part of the build, you just attach lots of crystals. I attached the largest crystals to the back, the elbows, and the lower legs, and I mostly put smaller ones on the front of the torso and under the arms. I made some diluted PVA glue, but only with a little bit of water. It's still pretty thick. I coated the entire miniature with this glue. When it dries, the miniature will become a lot tougher. This is especially important for the thin crystals. We don't want them breaking off. Now it's time to paint this guy. I base painted everything except the crystals with black. If you get paint on the crystals, you can still cover it afterwards, so it doesn't matter. This is how it looked after painting with black. I also painted the bottom of the base with black, just in case I had any unpainted spots on the top that light would shine through. I then dry brushed the black rock with a grey. For the next layer, I dry brushed with a mixture of brown and yellow. I had to apply 2 coats of this, since it blends in with the dark background. To finish off the rock, I dry brushed it with a tan. As you can see, I didn't paint the base with the brown mixture. Now that the final dry brushed layer is done, we will switch over to acrylic miniature paint. Until now, I have just been using cheap acrylic paints. The paints I will be using are Army Painter Red and Crystal Blue. The first crystals were painted in red. Then I mixed red with the crystal blue to make a dark purple color. The rest of the crystals were painted with the crystal blue. I then dry brushed with lighter colors. Here I'm using a pale blue, followed up with a white dry brush. I mostly focused on dry brushing the edges. And some pink, then white. The purple crystals were dry brushed with white. There's still something missing, don't you think? Flocking. I applied diluted PVA glue, then sprinkled on some lemongrass. Lemongrass seems to work as flocking. I then painted the lemongrass with green and also dry brushed it with yellow. Here is the base. The miniature is almost done. Just wait for a moment. Oh, these actually seem to be the showcase pictures. You seem to like miniatures. Lucky for you, I make miniatures every week. So if you're new here, you should definitely subscribe. These are some of the miniatures I've crafted. I make tutorial videos for everything cool that I craft. You should watch every single one of them.